tangible ideas, a few really tangible tools that you could actually take with you as you go out from this conference. So I'm super excited to bring up our three experts. I've got Tanner, Wesley, and Katlynn. If you guys want to come along, we're kind of blocking both of the stairs here with our oversized chairs, but that's fine. So invite them up to this stage. I will let them introduce themselves in a little bit because the whole structure of this panel is to make it a Q&A and to make it interactive. So we are going to go through a few pre-planned questions that we had first so that we can give them a chance to cover the topics that they wanted to share with you guys today. But then we'll also open it up at the end to questions from the whole group, okay? So if you have a question that pops into your head during this panel, hold on to that question in your mind because there will be an opportunity for you to ask that at the end of the session. So hopefully we have a few good questions from the audience and we can provide you some really valuable information after that. Good, so I'm seeing a good movement of people. I wanted to take a chance just to send a special shout out to our panel sponsors. Consolidated and the Nebraska Department of Economic Development. It is because of sponsors like them and all of the sponsors that Janelle mentioned earlier that we are able to put on this conference and to bring people in and to share this valuable information with all of you. So thank you so much to them. I am going to go ahead and get us started with our very first question. For our three panelists, we've got Katlynn, if you want to wave for us, and Tanner, and Wesley. So first off, can I have each of you share what is your general area of expertise and why that is an area that you think is worth investing time in and time for these folks to actually learn the skills that you have to share? Do you want to start us off, Katlynn?
Sure. My name is Katlynn Pyatt. I'm the owner of Authentic Branding and Marketing. I focus on helping entrepreneurs and small businesses with branding and marketing strategy. I spent a lot of my career in corporate marketing, and I feel really passionate about branding and marketing strategy in particular because your brand is really what's going to set you apart when someone looks at you versus a competitor. If all things being equal when it comes to your product, they're going to buy from you based on your brand. And having a really solid brand and something that you can communicate that really differentiates you from your competitors is huge, especially in the small business arena. And I'm also very passionate about marketing strategy because those two really go hand in hand. When you know your brand and your ideal target audience, you are able to put together a really strategic marketing plan. So it takes you from throwing things against the wall, hoping they stick, not knowing exactly what to do in order to grow your business and what marketing strategies you should be deploying. And your brand really helps you make educated decisions so you can spend your time and money really effectively when it comes to marketing, which in the small business arena is something that is really important because you have a million things that you need to get done, and having those strategic decisions in your back pocket helps you be really effective and efficient. And when you've got your brand and your marketing strategy very Loctite and you know what you're going to do, you're able to empower your sales team to be really, really effective. At the end of the day, marketing, your brand and your marketing is what drives leads to your sales team, and your sales team then is able to be really efficient in closing those leads and making sales. And sometimes if the answer is not right now, when someone comes to your sales team, they're able to funnel them back to your marketing or back into your marketing strategies so that you can continue to build that brand awareness and capture them when the time is right. So I'm a really big proponent of having those strategic brand and marketing foundations set so you can maximize your sales and your growth when it comes to funneling your leads to your sales team.
Thanks, Katlynn. Looks like I lost my L in the sales there when I converted this from a PDF to a PowerPoint document, but hopefully you guys all know what that means. It's not sales, it's sales. So Tanner, you also work in the marketing field. Can you share a little bit about what it is you do?
Sure. Yep, my name is Tanner Lytle. I'm from McCook. Started off quite a few years ago in the retail market, grew company to 4 different locations across the state. So I have quite a bit of a foundation on a B2C focus. Recently, the last few years, I transitioned where I lead the sales and marketing for Honorbound IT. We sell IT services to businesses all across Nebraska, Kansas, and Colorado. So I really had to kind of transition rather than focusing on a consumer end to a business market. And we do that primarily through education and storytelling. Primarily, IT is a very boring and technical thing, and it's a real challenge to have it, shared with people where they find it interesting. And so our big focus is on video content, articles, live events, as well as business things. So it's a really neat way of approaching it and have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, thanks, Tanner. And Wesley, can you share what your expertise is and what your business does?
Yep, my area of expertise is Amazon and all third-party marketplaces, eBay, Walmart. I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska, and I do Grow Nebraska's Amazon account, and I handle the Amazon accounts for over 30 other businesses. And Amazon's a big deal. If you sell a physical product, and you have your own online store, Amazon's typically going to do a minimum of twice as much in sales. So small business owners, medium business owners, they care about it a lot. It's never been easier for a small business to be online and to scale in a big way. And now it's gotten so big that private equity firms are raising billions of dollars and acquiring Amazon listings like pieces of real estate to become, in their own words, the next General Mills, the next Procter & Gamble. There's just tens of thousands of small brands that, because of Amazon and their systems, have been able to scale like brands of the past. And so they give it a lot of attention, and it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, thanks. So a question often that I hear from people, or that maybe we have in our minds right now, being local business, is if you are a local business with local customers, you're on Main Street, people see you all the time, why is a digital presence even really something necessary? Let's see, can we start with Tanner or Katlynn? Can you talk about the importance of that?
Yeah, so kind of going back what I was saying about storytelling. It's a really neat way to connect with your audience in a way that maybe you couldn't before, or you could only on a one-on-one. Well, if you create a piece of content that shows who you are, your values, the process of working with you, what values that you bring to them, you can generate that piece of content and have it be evergreen, where rather than just having to tell it over and over again, the one piece of content can be seen forever, any time of the day, night, thousands of times if needed. You can use it to promote your business through paid advertising or organic advertising. It's a really neat way of working through it.
Katlynn, can you add on?
Yeah, so I'll put this in the context of some of the clients that I've worked with. When I talk to them about creating a marketing strategy, and we talk about why having a digital marketing strategy is really important, a lot of times what they'll tell me is, hey, I was one of the original, I'll use a client example of mine, a daycare center that I worked with. Hey, I was one of the original daycare centers in Papillia in Nebraska, and it used to just be me and one other competitor. So I had a really big market share. I relied on word of mouth. I had tons of referrals, and now the city has grown, and there are 15 new daycare centers that are newer and shinier than mine, and I haven't done any marketing, let alone digital marketing, in the entire existence of my business, and now I'm behind. So when I talk to my clients about creating a digital marketing strategy, even when they say, I really don't think I need that. I have a great referral network, I'm well known, and that's a great place to start. As a small business, building that referral network and the word of mouth, like there's no more powerful piece of advertising than a referral or word of mouth. But when you don't have a digital marketing strategy in place and you're not thinking about it, a lot of times you end up and you find yourself in a spot where you go, now I'm behind. I have had competitors move in. They may or may not have been more savvy when it comes to marketing than I've been. But now, not only do I need to build my entire digital marketing presence, I'm behind the 8 ball because my competitors have been beating me in that space. So I talk to my clients a lot about start early and start building it so that you don't find yourself in a position where competitors are moving into town and they're doing things like selling online and they are networking at the same events that you're networking at, and you're losing real estate and you're losing potential customers to them because you haven't been focused on it. So you never want to find yourself behind. You want to be proactive and be thinking about that as best as possible.
Yeah, go for it, Tanner.
Are we on?
They're just muting when we're not actively speaking. So
Okay,
just keep.
there we go. Just to play off what you were saying, a big thing that a lot of businesses don't realize is in a segment they have a certain amount of market share. And then how you rank yourself in the market share is dependent on how much customers not only the amount of customers you're going to get, but the amount of customers that you're going to retain off of that. So the lower you are in your market share, the higher turnover you're going to have on your product. And you can look into pretty much any brands, whether it be like toothpaste, the most popular one, or soda. Coke, for example, leads by far, and they have a higher amount of customer retention than a lower craft soda. And so investing in your marketing to maintain your position within a market space is extremely important, because that's going to translate all down through the line of the volume of sales you're going to get, as well as the amount of customers you can retain because of that.
Yeah, and so if you have a physical product that you are selling in a storefront, Wesley, can you talk about the importance of selling that product online?
Yeah, if you sell a physical product and you're not selling on a third-party marketplace, that's almost the equivalent of a wholesale partner waving their hand at you saying, we'd like to buy your product and sell it on your behalf. And you just go, no, I don't want to. It's not worth the time. And for some people, it's not. But for the folks that want to grow, it's an obvious choice. The biggest winners on Amazon right now are the people that were doing it in 2013 or 2017. I called Amazon listings like real estate just a bit ago, because it is very much like that. People who listed as early as they could now have products with thousands or tens of thousands of reviews, and now they're, if it was their own brand that they built in mom and pop style, they have lots of exit options. They have PE firms asking them for, please just let us sell your product to us, let us have your listing and own your company. You have 10,000 reviews because you started so early, and we're willing to pay a big multiple. So I don't want to make it sound like if you haven't started, you're being left out, but the best time to start is now.
Yeah, so we've got a group of people here who are all business owners, and they are busy, busy people. So a question that I wanted to ask is, how can investing your time in something like e-commerce actually save you time in the long run? Even if you aren't one of those big businesses that's going to get your brand snatched up, how can it actually save you time? Yeah,
and I'll say this particularly with Amazon. Part of the reason they have been able to grow the way they have is that small business owners that previously in 2002 would not have had the distribution and fulfillment powers to sell at a national or global scale now can. Now what it looks like for a typical business owner that sells a physical product is they send in product in bulk to Amazon warehouses, and all the fulfillment and payment processing is handled by them. So I have folks who have just tripled in size since 2019. But in terms of how long it takes for them to fulfill customer orders or process those payments and collect on them, the increase in time has been zero. because it's not being done by them. Technically, they ship more to Amazon, but I think that's the whole point. It's a huge, it would be a real barrier if you thought of scaling on Amazon as something that would take a proportional amount of increase in time. It doesn't. It's being handled for you. And when you grow in a big way, it takes it's all handled. It's nice. That's why people have been able to grow.
Yeah, and Wesley shared with us some monthly sales reports from businesses that you have worked with. So those are actual numbers there up on the screen.
I hope they're anonymized. I really hope I didn't include their name. Okay,
No.
cool. The reason I wanted to put this graph up is because this is mostly, for the most part, a single item in multiple colors, invented by a single engineer, imported in and put on Amazon. And in terms of his time difference from the beginning of 2020 to what he's doing now in 2021 is 0, right? It's all being, with the exception of the fact that he has to ship more pallets to Amazon, not too big of a deal. He's not spending more time actually sending out boxes. He's not hiring additional people to do that. So that he can scale without increasing costs too much.
Yeah, so then what would you recommend for somebody who wants to take those first steps toward selling on Amazon?
You start now. Get your UPC codes, get on Amazon. It barely costs anything. The technical actual cost per month is $40 a month. You probably pay more for streaming services like we talked about earlier. And it's exponential. It's a win more game. You'll start with a product with 0 reviews and no SEO anywhere. And as you make sales, you can expect 10% of all of those sales to end up as a review. So you can see how that, if you have a product that has 1,000 reviews, you're going to get lots of people buying, which means you're going to get lots of people leaving reviews. And so you can see how there are these exponential growth curves. And the most important thing is you can straight up Google, sell on Amazon. They make it as easy as possible. Sure, there's some documentation to fill out to prove that you're an actual business, but it's, of all the third-party platforms, of eBay and Walmart, even Shopify, if you wanted to sell on your own website, it's the easiest. So it's just start.
Yeah, and you mentioned one thing that you do need to sell on Amazon is a UPC code, and sometimes that can be a big investment up front, but Grow Nebraska, we can help our members get those UPC codes without having to spend hundreds of dollars yourself. So if that's a place that you want to start, I just wanted to put in a plug that that's something Grow Nebraska can help you with. So, and then you will get some of Wesley's great services too, because his business does all of our Amazon listings. So then, if somebody has said, I want to start a digital marketing strategy, but I don't even know what the first step is, what would you guys recommend is kind of the way to just start getting going? Katlynn, do you want to go first?
Sure. So the way that I like to approach marketing strategy in particular is to start with some foundational numbers from your business. Your marketing should always be supporting your business growth goals. So when I work with my clients and they say, where do I need to start? We start by identifying 3 kind of foundational pieces. After we know who we're targeting, so we can make really efficient and effective decisions about where and what marketing channels we use, we start with the 3 to 5 year goals of the business. Where do you need to go? What is your long-term vision? And then how can we turn that into a 12-month SMART goal that's going to measure the success of your marketing? That way we know that we are making really strategic decisions when it comes, again, to choosing the channels that we're going to use to market your business. But then you can also tie in your marketing and measure the success of your marketing against your business goals. So you can make sure that you're not wasting your time or your money on a marketing strategy that's ineffective or inefficient. It's not growing your business the way that you hope or you need it to. So that's where I start with all of my clients, is let's look at those foundational pieces and really understand where your business needs to go and then align your marketing strategies to that.
Do you want to add on anything to that, Tanner?
Yeah, so to kind of piggyback on what Katlynn was talking about, primarily what we start with is, of course, the budget. And the budget needs to be in line with how much you want to grow. A lot of businesses think, oh, I can just throw some money in here, a few $100 here, $100 there. But you really need to be thinking in big picture and comparing that to particularly gross revenue. I believe Small Business Association says marketing is around, for an established business, is around 12% of gross revenue put into specifically sales and marketing. And so you need to analyze with your business how your sales funnel actually works, how much time, and how much expense is based off your product, and then you can build your strategy accordingly. You're going to pick a completely different strategy for a product that's low cost and high volume compared to something that has a very long sales cycle and a high investment. That's why cars are advertised differently than cheeseburgers, but also professional services can be marketed completely different ways as well. So if you're a business that does haircuts, is a completely different one than doing IT services, where you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on putting your business on the line. So really tailoring the costs and aligning it with your sales funnel is extremely important. And then past that, it's really focusing on the needs of your customer, who they are. Like you were talking about how you identify them, but what are their true problems that they're facing that you solve, and what's the value proposition you give to them. And then if you focus all of your marketing around their problems, their needs, their wants, their journey, and focus very little on yourself, you'll be far more successful. I really like a quote from Donald Miller. He talks about the day we stop losing sleep about the success of our business and start losing sleep about the success of our customers is the day that our business starts growing. So if you can really tailor everything around your business to that whole customer journey, that whole customer experience is a huge thing. The other thing that I really focus on is in the sales process in particular, but it translates into marketing, is you got to focus on the entire journey as a series of yeses. And one thing David brought up in his was the pushy salesman who's trying to ask for too much too quickly. So when you're doing your marketing, you have to focus on, maybe the first thing you want to do is just get a very tiny yes. Like, can I introduce you to me? Can I introduce you to a piece of an article, a piece of copy, a lead generator, PDF, a video? And during the whole journey, you're never asking for the sale. You're just educating them. You're bringing them along the journey to have them understand what their problem is, how to understand it, and how you're going to fill in that gap and solve it. And then once you go through that, at the very end is where you finally ask for the sale. And you'll get much more success than trying to be pushy or jumping the gun. And if you think of it as like a series of steps or a ladder, if someone's down at the bottom and the sale is at the top, there's no real way, if you're trying to throw them to the top of that, you're ever going to get that. But if you walk them through the whole journey, you're going to be far more successful.
Yeah, so with that, I think that creating customer-focused messages is definitely a way that you can do this, but I want to specifically ask the question too, how do I make sure that I can cut through the clutter of advertising and all of the products that are being sold online right now? There's so much noise out there. How do you make sure that you are connecting with customers? Katlynn looks ready. What's up, Katlynn?
So I would piggyback off of what Tanner was just talking about. When you really know how you're going to walk your customer through that journey, and you've thought through each of those steps very strategically, and you've planned out not just what you're going to say, not just where you're going to say it, but what action you want those customers to take and how you're going to add value to them throughout each step of the process. To me, that's kind of what sets a really successful small business apart from someone who's just looking to make a sale. We all kind of have that gut instinct, like you saw with the networking example that David did. Like, if you come at somebody and you're just looking for the sale, they're going to immediately kind of bristle and back away. So I would kind of echo Tanner's sentiments and say, when you know how to walk them through that journey and you're thinking about it and how to make that the best experience possible and add as much value in each step of that process, that's where you start to stand out, and you can focus on fun, creative things, that catch people's eyes. But having that process really airtight, I think, is the critical first step.
Yeah, and then with that, how do you make sure that the time and the money that you are investing in these digital strategies is actually worth it for you in the long run, is actually helping you turn a profit?
Amazon advertising is great because the intent to buy is so high, right? Unlike Google, where you could be, searching for something. If you're on Amazon, you're probably going to buy something. So if you advertise on that keyword, most of the time, and the stats show, people will buy your product if it's what they were looking for. Whether it's worth it or not depends on, well, like many things, it depends on your criteria, right? Are you trying to build that behemoth 5,000 review listing? Then you're okay with breaking even. And Amazon does a wonderful job of reporting on costs, right? If you know your margin is 25% and you spend 25% of that on advertising, you're breaking even, you're probably doing a good job because you're going to get a review that helps you, that builds muscle on the listing, and you'll do better organically. Or if you're a well-established business and you're just trying to get the most dollars out of Amazon, then it's highly reportable. It's not like you're buying a billboard and you pay $5,000 and you cross your fingers and you go, oh, I just hope we make a sale, right? Amazon, you're going to figure out whether your search term is making a sale in 2 days, in 30 clicks. And so I've seen it on, I've seen Facebook advertising, I've seen Google advertising, and I've seen Amazon advertising. Amazon advertising, very friendly. They give you lots of metrics. And I was even just telling them before this, we walked up here, that I know small businesses where they see business software that costs like $100 a month, and they cross their arms and go like, well, do we really need that? That's a lot. I know small business owners that spend nearly $10K per month on Amazon advertising, but they do it because they make a sale on Amazon, and then Amazon takes their ad cut right out of that payment, and so they feel no negative cash flow. And like it was said earlier, if it didn't work for businesses in the long run, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, to follow along with what you were saying, having the metrics right is extremely important. Actually, everything that you should do within your budget should be measurable and tested against your market. So a lot of A/B testing can happen. The biggest thing that you need to do with this, though, is have the volume to get the amount of information you need. So just throwing something like a couple $100 into AdWords isn't going to get you anything. What I've been seeing online is for AdWords in particular, to get good metrics, you got to be spending somewhere close to $100 a day at minimum just to start getting the information that you need to parse through it, which can sound like a lot of money and scary, but again, when you start thinking about it as the whole and basing that with your objectives, one thing that you got to realize when you're doing your business is what you want your business to ultimately be. A lot of businesses think they need to grow for growth's sake because it's better to be big, but maybe that doesn't actually fit the needs of your business compared to other types of businesses that are focused on hyper growth, and they want to have those things. I know in the startup world, Silicon Valley, when you're creating like software stuff, 60% of a seed money that comes from investors into a startup goes back into Google, Facebook, and Amazon. So every round that they do, they put 60% of all the money they raise back into Google, Facebook, and Amazon, and they do that for customer acquisition and growth. That works for their type of business because that's the incentives that they do. If a small retail business threw that much money into Google, Facebook, and Amazon, and they didn't have the right product to meet it, they would just run out of money instantly. So you really need to tailor your marketing plan to the exact fit for your business needs, and making sure that ultimately, if you do start hitting larger sales, larger scale, you can fulfill those needs as well.
Yeah, Katlynn?
One last thing that I would add, and that I always advocate for as well, and this comes from my experience in corporate marketing, is not just understanding what these guys are talking about, but also, again, tying everything back to your overall business. So you really should, in order to measure the success of your marketing, you should also know the business cost of whatever it is you're doing, the operational cost of that particular activity, right? Because the ROI that you're going to figure out or you're going to calculate, you have to account for that cost. So something might seem really profitable, measuring digital marketing is really easy to do now, but you also have to understand the operational cost that goes into it so that you make sure everything you do is really efficient. Sometimes it's easy to kind of get sucked in and say like, oh, I can measure this, and so of course like my return is really great, but if you're not accounting for some of the work that goes into doing those types of activities, you maybe aren't painting as complete a picture as if you are accounting for those operational costs as well.
And just to continue on with what you were saying, an important part of this too is making sure that you find a good partner to work with on that. We have agencies here today who live, breathe, and sleep this stuff, so don't feel like if you don't understand it, it's way outside your needs. I think of it in comparison to what we do with the IT field. You don't necessarily want to trust, the neighbor's kid down the street with your computer systems. You shouldn't be trusting just some random person who happens to be good at making a logo or thinks they understand Facebook to trust your business in their hands, because ultimately any of these decisions, whether it be like what I deal with your IT solution, is a foundation of your business. Your sales and marketing is even more so a foundation of your business. So work with professionals, work with people who you like, who have your best interest, and be willing to pay the premium to get premium results from that.
And kind of on the topic of trust, and I don't want to ask too many questions because I want to make sure that we open it up to the group here, but one last question then. What are some things that I should watch out for as I start to do more online? Tanner, I'll let you take this, being the IT guy.
As you move online, you get to deal with all sorts of new types of people. There's a bunch of good people online. There's also a bunch of terrible people online who have bad incentives and want to cause you harm. There's so many scams that you have to watch out for. Different people, and Wesley can hit on some of this with Amazon a little bit. You have those who try to, game the system in some way to, get free stuff or cause issues. But you can also have the same thing happen with online, where you're connecting with a large audience. Let's say with Facebook, you got to make sure that your Facebook is actually secure, because if someone happened to get into that system, it can cause a lot of havoc to your brand. The other things like David was talking about, having actually a secure website. This even happened to my boss's company many years ago, where the website gets hacked. It's used to inject malware in. Your domain name can get blacklisted, and which causes a lot of issues with your email. So just making sure, going back to with having a trusted partner, that you set everything up correctly and you set it up securely, so you don't run into a lot of problems moving forward when you start hitting scale.
Yeah, and so if you want to learn more about that, Tanner will actually be sharing 3 things every business should know about cybersecurity during one of our free webinars. And 2 weeks from today, right at noon, if you want to learn more about that, you can register at grownebraska.org. So Tanner will be sharing even more of his knowledge there. So at this time, I would really like to open it up to everybody who is sitting out there. If you have a question burning in your mind, now is the time to ask it. We have 3 experts up here in their individual fields. So if you can just raise your hand, and then we will have somebody from Grow come by. Do we have an extra mic maybe that we can give to them so that they can ask that question on microphone so everybody can hear it? And then we know up on stage what question we're answering, but then everybody out in the audience will also know the answer to that question. So we will just give that a second to get that microphone up and going. But thank you so much to the 3 of you for putting together the knowledge in a way that we can actually share it with everybody. Thanks for your time and for the time you put in before this, just structuring this panel. So thank you so much. All right, so we've got a microphone up and coming over here, and I see a question right up here. Kent has a question that he would like to ask. So we will get you the microphone and hopefully answer your question.
Thanks a lot. You guys, appreciate your feedback on information. Just 2 things concerning Amazon, first of all. As an artist, author, for an artist with his individual things, how would Amazon be beneficial for me with my individual artwork? And second of all is, what do we do if we ever get spam from somebody regarding my Amazon order that I never ordered? How do we report that to somebody when we get some kind of spam concerning an order that we didn't post? What's the best way to report that back to Amazon?
Yeah, so as an artist, you're in the wonderful position of actually creating products. One of the biggest mistakes one can fall into is just thinking that they can buy something off of Alibaba and resell it, because you know what, there's 12 other people doing it and it's not unique, and you actually have to have something unique to do well on or something at least different, and that's common business knowledge. But as an artist, and I've actually worked with folks that sold art, I don't know what kind of art you do, but they did their copyrighted works of art did really well. They started early, had lots of reviews. Odds are if you bought decor for your home or for your kid's college dorm or something, you might own one of these, because it was one of the top pieces of wall art for a while. So what I would say is you have a unique advantage that whatever you're creating is uniquely yours, and if you get it out there on Amazon, I'm sure not everything will work, but the stuff that does work, unlike the unfortunate situation lots of folks are in, it's not duplicatable. Or if it is, you hopefully have copyright. And as for emails about Amazon orders that you didn't order, it makes me wonder if that's on the consumer end. But as I understand it, Google, you can report emails, and I'll tell you, if you report anything to Amazon, you're not getting far. Amazon's really nice. If you're a customer and you buy something and you want a refund, you're pretty much always going to get it. If you want a little top secret, Amazon hates the businesses they work with, but they love the customers they sell to. And so if you request a refund, you will always, always, always get it. As for emailing them about a faulty email you got, that probably won't go very far. But if you report the email as spam, whatever domain it came from, they're going to get an SEO ding, as I understand it. And if enough people do that, they'll have trouble sending emails to anybody.
And Tanner, you wanted to add?
Yep. I'm an artist myself, so it's a really cool thing. Amazon is starting to have a lot of focus on handmade stuff, so that's actually a really big niche that's starting to go into it. I've been looking a lot into like furniture and things like that, so you can actually do individual pieces listed and it'll be featured in a very specific section.
For example, this is something I created, this shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at the next step at 60 years old to have my line of clothing.
Yep. Yeah, so if you're doing mass market, you can talk to him a little bit more as you can mass replicate those. If you're doing individual pieces, they have special features with that. As for email, I recommend for every business period, actually have a professional business managed email. Just a base Gmail is not good enough anymore with a lot of the securities, because if accounts get compromised, it has huge repercussions and disruptions. So getting yourself an actual professionally managed email is important. You can do it. G Suite has the capability. Office 365, Microsoft is another really good one. And then with that, you can add on third-party spam, phishing, additional technologies that are put in there, because it is so prevalent right now, the amount of scams coming from phone calls, fake pop-ups, text messages, emails. And if you click the wrong thing, you can get a piece of malware injected, keylogger. It's a security nightmare. So attend the cybersecurity webinar, and we'll go into a little bit more of how you can protect your business from that. But just even from a professional looking standpoint, actually having your name at yourdomain.com is a huge selling point compared to so-and-so at gmail.com or Outlook or even worse, Hotmail or something like that.
Thank you. I think we had one more question. Did we? Or?
I want to make a comment about his age.
Yeah, go for it.
And here's why. A few months ago, started working with, I said it's never too late, right? I recently started working with someone who is 79 out of Georgia. He sounds like Jimmy Carter. And he created a new product, launched it at his age, and it just launched, and it's doing tremendously. And so Yes, I think you've got a 19-year advantage on this guy, and don't let the age hold you back.
Yeah, thanks. All right. Just looking out for any other hands that might be raised, and I'm not seeing anything. But thank you so much for listening. If you do have any more specific questions, these guys are going to be hanging around. So if you want to snag them, you can try to do that, definitely. But can I just have a round of applause for all of our presenters? Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for being willing to share. You guys can go ahead and take a seat at a table because we are going to be serving lunch pretty soon. So you want to make sure that you're sitting at a table so that you can be served lunch. So if you want to stand up and go find your seats, that's fine. Also, for anybody over in the booths, we should have enough room over here at all of the tables for all of you guys too. So don't feel like you have to be confined to those booths. We should have equal number of chairs for everybody here out in this area, so do not worry about that. So as they go ahead and take a seat, I want to invite up Rick Nelson. He is one of our Grow Nebraska board members, and he also works for the Nebraska Public Power District. So I just wanted to ask Rick, lots of information that's been shared so far here at MarkeTech at this panel and with David. Could you just share perhaps what has stuck out to you so far, what you feel like you've learned? There you go. You're ready.
I think I'm ready now. Wow, that's a tough to glean one thing from today, but I really did enjoy David's presentation this morning. I worked with Tiffany and Janelle in kind of background in putting this together, and you came highly recommended, and it was definitely a home run in my mind, what you've shared with us this morning. And I had never, I guess, really pictured equating what I call old school marketing with the new channels of marketing. So some of those things really hit me. And you know, I work in economic development, and we say we do marketing, but we really don't. In the same vein, I mean, I work with our communities to promote themselves. So a website's always the most important thing that a community can do, and the same thing for a business. But just setting yourself apart, doing some of the things that David had shared, and the panel up here today, just recently here, was really good as well in terms of specifically what you can do and help your business. And I think, as Wesley said, it's never too late for any of us to get started in this. What age we are or the age of our business. So it's really great stuff.
Yeah, we say a lot of time in the Grow office, when's the best time to plant a tree? Well, the real answer is 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now. Yep. So yeah. Also, we are about to head into another networking break, just to give us a little bit of transition time before lunch. But I was really happy with all the activity that was going around there earlier. Obviously, we all know the importance of networking, but can you maybe just share a little bit of what you see the importance of networking being as in your role or in your experience, just to give us a little extra oomph going in?
You know, I think and I'll go back to my economic development role, and we're working with companies all over the country and the world, or the people they hire to find them their locations. And as much as we are reliant on technology and on the internet and websites and everything, oftentimes it still comes down to a relationship. And you never know when somebody you may run into here is going to have a thought, and I remember I heard David McBee at that conference. And I need to look him up again, or refer your business to somebody else because they saw you here or heard you here or whatever. You know, I consider myself probably a bit of an introvert, and I know some of you didn't get up from your tables and didn't necessarily go over there, which probably would have been me 30 years ago. But I think you do have to force yourself to go over and do it, and some great conversations. I learned a lot about several things when I walked over there, and saw old friends, people I've known for years. I won't mention your name, Pat. There she is. But again, relationships can last for years, and you just never know when it's going to come about. And just getting out, the more you learn, the more people you get to meet. You know, it's always valuable to get out and talk to people.
Yeah, Thanks, Rick. So I hope we're keeping that in mind as we go into our next networking break. I will see you guys again at noon so we can do some announcements and get lunch started. So thanks so much. See you in a little bit.